Hello, good afternoon. I'm Dr. Philip McMillan, and today I'm going to be analyzing some news where I'll be looking at some of the patterns that are happening, certainly in the UK. This is what the top news looking at norovirus is across the UK. So I'll be taking a look at that and just giving you a few quick insights as to my thoughts about what is going on and what the likely trend is going to be. Before I start, I was recently informed that I have a Telegram channel. Now, I didn't know this. Somebody has replicated my channel, and so they take my videos, and people think it's me. Now, I have no idea what they're doing, but what it made me think about is, gosh, I really therefore need to have a Telegram channel. So, this is what I've done. So if you want insights where I'll just on the spur of the moment capture a thought and put it out, this is my channel. I've put it in the description so that you can join me as we continue to grow. So that would help. And I've never done it before. So again, be patient with me as I try and figure it out. But let's get back to what is happening now. This is an important story. And what I realize people have to understand is that you have to know what's going on to be able to grasp what the trends are telling you. Okay. And so, what I've got here is a news report or news reports that caught my attention. So, I'll show you what the facts are first, and then I will give you my interpretation, just in case anyone thinks that this is a government statement. No, this is just me looking at the data and giving my analysis based on my research over 6 years around COVID. And sadly, I've been consistently right so far. And sadly, I don't think that it's going to be wrong anytime soon. It's a bit of a problem because we have so many challenges ahead of us. So here is what I saw in the news today. And so this is for the UK top news. And you can see here, hospitals almost full in the Telegraph. Norovirus cases at Norfolk Hospital surge. Norovirus hospital admissions soared to 45%. And you can see all these stories about a norovirus outbreak in the UK. And the reason they're talking about this is because hospitals have been largely very much under pressure. And so the challenge is to try and identify what's going on and to try and see if they can come up with strategies. So they don't want people who are sick or if you have been vomiting to go in to visit relatives or to go in even to A&E if it's not an emergency, because it's high risk that you will transmit this virus. It is very contagious. I mean, when I was doing some of the research on it, almost just 10 to 20 viral particles can cause infection and it can get through the stomach acid. So it's quite contagious. And for general people, it can just mean that you're quite sick for a couple of days. But we'll come back to what the relevance of that is. Now, what I'm going to show you here are the statistics from the UK. So this is the data, National Norovirus and Rotavirus Report up to the 18th of January 2026. So this is just last week. And what they look at is that they're looking at the pattern of disease over that period of time. And so we have been looking at this norovirus because it happens every year around the same period of time. Is this just the same or is it any different? And so, just to understand why I'm talking about it and why I think it's relevant, is that, as I have explained before, the science indicates that with rampant subclinical COVID circulation, especially in highly vaccinated regions, it's going to suppress the immune response, especially including interferons, natural killer cells, some CD8 T cells, and antibodies. And this is a critical part of the innate immune system, your first response, especially to do with interferon and CD and natural killer cells. The problem is that this is how the body normally gets rid of this virus because it's so quick. You don't have time to trigger the other side of your immune system, the adaptive immune system, where it would then build out antibodies and so on. So, a critical part is interferon and natural killer cells. If these are being suppressed by COVID, recent COVID infections, it then means that people will be more susceptible to having norovirus. Okay. And this is what I think we're starting to see. If you look carefully at this image here, this is showing us the 5-year season average. That's in orange going along here. The gray area represents the 95% confidence intervals. That means that within that, it's still largely within normal trends, just slightly higher. And then the weekly norovirus lab reports in dark blue. And what you can see is that from about the early part of the year or late 2025, it started to rise significantly above this trend line and breaking through the 95% confidence interval. So you can see here, this indicates that norovirus is certainly in a surge. The hope is that this is the peak and it will come down early. But you've noticed that we've had an outbreak of flu, which peaked earlier on, which was early as well, and has continued. I suspect that we are going to see this year break the 95% confidence intervals all the way up to here. And so this is taking us all the way to week number 8 to 10 before it starts to come down, or it may even take a longer time to come down. And so what it would mean is that it would make a lot of people quite sick for an extended period of time because COVID is still circulating. It's just subclinical. So many people have such mild symptoms, they don't even think about it. But the impact of the infection, especially in a population where you've got a response from the immune system of IgG4 to infection, that's a tolerant antibody, it doesn't trigger a strong immune response. So the virus circulates, it gets through the lungs, it gets down into the intestines. Now, this is where I think that this is why norovirus is going to cause such a problem. Because we already have a situation where there is persistent infection in the intestines for a lot of people. And there is some kind of interaction with bacteria producing spike-related products and toxins. It is a mess in the gut. So we have already had that situation occurring. And what we are seeing now, when you add norovirus on top of it, with a suppressed immune response, especially interferon and natural killer cells, you will then have a different presentation of norovirus because you get the very significant diarrhea where the immune system has kicked in and it triggers the intestine to produce lots of fluid and get rid of the virus. That's part of the immune response. So the diarrhea and the vomiting is actually helpful, even though it makes you feel very sick. What happens when the immune response is subclinical, where it's weak, and you don't get that, and you then have the situation where the virus continues to replicate in conjunction with SARS-CoV-2 replicating in the intestine and the bacterial and microbiome changes? That is just a disaster. And so this is why when we look at this chart here, my expectation is that based on this situation, we are likely to see continued breakthroughs for norovirus all the way through. But this will only be a small part of the picture. It will not be the whole picture. So you will have a lot more people who have subclinical disease. And in that case, they will just be sick. They will not present in the normal way. And so that will then put more pressure on hospitals. So overall, what that seems to indicate is that this is not the time to get sick with anything. You may think that you're only worried about COVID or norovirus. No, the problem is that when hospitals are under significant pressure, all care gets impacted. If you have a heart attack, it's harder for you to get seen because the system is overwhelmed. If you had a stroke, if you had appendicitis, if you had a broken leg, if you were in a car accident or fell out of a tree, not that you should be climbing a tree. The point being is that whatever is going on with you will become worse or harder to manage if systems are overwhelmed. That is a real serious point, and I don't expect this to change easily over the next few months based on this trajectory, and it is going to put everybody under a lot of pressure. So I guess be patient in terms of if you're going into hospital. Recognize that there are these pressures. Recognize that staff sickness is likely to increase. Recognize that they will be burnt out by the time these weeks of pressure continue. And everybody needs to protect themselves. And if they're unwell, keep out of spreading it to other people. We have a long way to go. And as I said before, if you want to join me on Insights, please look for the Telegram link. I'm using it so that I can actually have a voice instead of somebody impersonating me. So please click on that description. In the description, you'll find the link for the channel there. I'd be happy to have you, and I look forward to bringing you more updates in the near future. Have a great evening.
A hero, an immune adventure. Humming Heroes, your lyrical guide to the body's defenders. Now on Amazon. Check the links below.